Okay, so in chapter 9, we're going to take harmony a step further. We've already talked about the primary triads. We've talked about different cadences and how they affect music. We've talked about the strong pull when chords move upward by a fourth. So now we're going to kind of dive into the next level. At the end of those last chapters, we were talking about the 2-5-1 progression and kind of an old jazz saying that if you can 2-5-1, you can get anywhere in music. Well, that's what we're going to pick up now. So when it comes to a 2-5-1 progression, if you think about it, the 5-1 part of that progression is just like the authentic cadence that we talked about, the 5-1 cadence. It's the strongest pull in music. And we also refer to extended cadences. Well, that's what a 2-5-1 cadence is. It's just taking that basic 5-1 cadence and saying, well, what chord could I put before that to extend it that would also have a strong pull? So that's where you get your 2-5-1. Each one of those is pulling upward by a fourth. That's the strongest pull in music. Now you can see where, if you look on the keyboard, we're in the key of C now. There's middle C. So 2-5-1 is basically D minor is 2, to G is 5, to 1 is C. So a 2-5-1 progression, I'm going to change the voicing around a little bit, is add sevenths. And it's pretty typical kind of a cadence sound. Now, look at this for a second. There's the 2 chord. Now I made that a minor 7th when I played it just that last time, so I added this. Now you see how the 2 chord, if I take the D off the bottom, well, that's a 4 chord. So the 2 chord and the 4 chord are very similar. And the truth of the matter is, when you talk about a 2-5-1 progression, you could just as easily be talking about a 4-5-1 progression, because you see they share 3 of the same notes. So if you're saying 2-5-1 or you're saying 4-5-1, you're more or less saying the same thing. If you think about 4-5-1, well, what you're talking about is those basic 3 primary triads. So we're right back to that close family of chords that we talked about. Now, when you say the 2-5-1 progression can get you anywhere, here's the point. We're looking at 2-5-1 in the key of C. Pulls you strongly toward C, the home base, the home key. But if you determine, say I want to drive really strong to the 6th chord, for instance, I want to drive really strong to A minor, well, you can use that 2-5-1 formula and just say, well, okay, if the destination is A minor, in other words, that's the 1, what would be 2-5-1 pulling me to A minor? Well, figure it out. What's 2-5-1? That would be B to E to A. So that would sound like this. So what that is that's 2-5-1 going to A minor. Now it's not 2-5-1 in the key of C, but we're just talking about 2-5-1 as kind of a driving formula in music. So it can go to any destination. Let's say we want to get to D minor. Well, your 2-5-1 would be E minor to A to D. So if we want to get to D minor, the 2-5-1 would be, see that? E minor to A7 to D. Now, anytime we use a 2-5-1 progression or even just a 5-1 progression to get to a destination other than 1, it's called a secondary dominant. This is one of those theory terms that you can use to impress your friends. Basically, it just means it's a strong progression that can pull you anywhere. Now, the reason it's called a secondary dominant is pretty simple. When we talk about those theory names, you've got tonic equals 1. There's a great chart in the book that shows all this. Tonic is 1. 4 is subdominant. So the dominant is G. And that 5-1 progression is that G7 to C. So a secondary dominant means you're using that kind of dominant-tonic relationship, but you're putting it in a different location. So let's go back and look at those we did. We want to get to A minor, so we're using that 2-5-1. So that means that E chord is a secondary dominant. It's using that dominant structure to pull you to here. Or maybe you're using the A7 dominant structure to pull you to D. Or you could use the B dominant 7 structure to pull you to E minor. Or even in the key of C, lots of times you use the dominant structure, you turn that into a dominant chord to pull you up to F. See what I'm saying? So these are all secondary dominants. Right? Secondary dominant's going to pull you up to G. Secondary dominant's going to pull you up to A minor, see? So basically a secondary dominant is using that 2-5-1 formula or just the 5-1 part of that formula to create a strong pull. A couple of other examples of this. Now you sort of tend to find this a little bit more in the jazz world, but one of my favorites, since my wife is Ma Chérie, you think of the song Ma Chérie Amour by Stevie Wonder. Okay, he's gonna do 2-5-1 to get to C. Now he wants to get back to D, so he does 2-5-1 again. Now he wants to get to C, so he 2-5-1s to C. Does 2-5-1 again, but now he's going to go a different place. Here's another one. Here's 2-5-1 going to E. Now, instead of going to E minor, he makes it E major, which is another 2-5-1 that starts taking you back to 1. So here's another great example, actually, kind of out of the jazz world. This is like a catalog of 2-5-1 secondary dominants. I don't know if you may have heard, this is like an old jazz song called Bluesette, key of C. Watch this now. 2-5-1, taking you to A. Now the A becomes a 2-5-1, taking you to G. But now the G is a 2-5-1, taking you to F. 2-5-1, taking you to E flat. Now he turns that minor, and that's another 2-5-1, taking you to D flat now. 2-5-1, pulling you back around to C, but he doesn't give you the C, so this would be a good example of a deceptive cadence. 2-5-1, pull you back to C, and it starts all over again. So another awesome one, which an example in the book, is a song called Giant Steps by John Coltrane. Just a whole collection of these 2-5-1 progressions. So that's why they say if you know how to 2-5-1, you can pretty much get anywhere you want to go in music.